Greetings and welcome back to the lab. It's time for another episode of How Bad Is It? This time we've got some light bulbs. I mentioned this in a previous video. I actually got all excited about the light bulb that I bought and hooked it up, and it died within 2 days. So I am going to, later in this video, I'm going to try and take this apart and figure out what specifically died in here and whether or not I can fix it and whether or not it's hackable. But in the meantime, that was a 5-watt bulb, and I ordered up the 15-watt version of it, which also came with a remote that I didn't have from this one. So if I can get this one working, I can test and see if the remote works with that. So that's why I just figured, okay, I can't really do a complete test if I don't have... Wow, okay, they threw a sticker on here, reduction of hazardous substances, and I'm ripping it off. And I have a light up above the workbench, which you never see, which also has a magnifying glass, which helps me with my limited vision. So I'm going to try and turn this thing over so you can see. If I flip the light on, this is going to swamp out, but that's the regular light that I have in there. So hopefully this is not completely out of focus as I do this, but I want to pull this thing out and put in the new light bulb. And you and I are going to find out together whether this thing actually works. Now, another thing about it is that, well, first of all, I'm calling it a light bulb. They called it a blub. Actually, in both cases, in the old one, in the 5-watt and the 15-watt, they called them both blubs. They can't spell. And they're at least consistent in not being able to spell. Can you tell I'm a little bit tired right now, folks? But I'm too excited. I want to try this. I want to see if it works. So let's find out what happens when I turn it on. Okay, we've got white. We've got a remote. Can we turn it off? Yes, we can. Okay, can we change the color? This should be red. Wow. Green, blue, and let me go back to white. And hopefully you can see, now it may be swamping out a bit. Let me turn this off for a second. And I want you to see the remote control. I've got all these other colors that I'm going to test out. And then there is some kind of patterns or something going on here. So let's just try these colors. If I can hit the switch the right way. There we go. Okay, we're in white. We'll go to red. Then we're going to head towards yellow. Oh, that's much better. I wish the other one had done that, because this is going to be quite bright. But imagine, if I just want to set mood lighting while I'm working, this is kind of a nice thing. So we're going at, sorry, I went through the green. Green goes towards, I'm guessing that's supposed to be purple, so let's go back to green and do that. Oh yeah, it's going to head towards cyan. Okay, that's cyan. So the last one should be heading towards magenta. Blue, getting closer and closer to magenta. Now let's see what these patterns are. Interesting. It's pretty much the same variations. Will it go to white? Okay, interesting. It went back to red. Alright, well that's one of them. That's the second one. Looks pretty much the same. Okay, a little bit different shade. Let's try the third one. Oh, I apologize, folks. I will put a warning up prior to that. Okay, now we're fading. I really am sorry about that flash. Well, like I said, at least in editing, I can put a warning up. All right, now the other thing I wanted to test was it said it was an RF remote, but actually, if you look, I don't know how well this is gonna. You know what? I'm gonna turn off the light, and I can see an infrared LED up here, so I'm guessing that the camera is gonna pick this up. As when I hit different buttons, it's going to kind of flash the little infrared LED. Now, when I turn it back on, are we still fading? So it remembers what it was doing. But also, the listing said that this was an RF remote. Now I have a power on and off button. So if I turn it off, that does work. But I'm going to go under the table here where it can't see the infrared, and I'm going to push the on button. And I'm getting nothing. So I don't think this is a radio frequency remote. I think this is strictly RF. So that's pretty much what this ends up looking like. Now, there will have to be a long-term test on this. I will have to play around with it, and I will have to report back to you on the long-term results. Meanwhile, our next step, I think, is going to be to try and take this thing apart and see if we can figure out what's going on. Greetings and welcome back to the lab. It looks like it's time to go for an episode of How Bad Is It? And in this particular one, we're going to talk about a couple of light bulbs I bought. I've done the unboxing videos. I'll put a link up here. The intention was to get these bulbs and plug them in and try them out, and there's a little bit of that on video. But ultimately what happened was this first bulb died within 2 days. So I should probably contact the seller and see if there's anything that can be done about that. I tend to just very politely say, oh, I'm sorry, but this thing failed in 2 days. What do you want to do? And half the time they just refund the money. They know that they're selling stuff that has defects. Some of the batch has defects. So they're willing to return some of the money. Other people, some people won't bother with it because they figure it's not worth bugging people. But, I mean, they're in business. They got to understand. Now, I mean, if they decide that it's not, that they don't want to do anything about it, then I can open a case about it. But for the price I paid for this, it's probably not worth opening a case and going through all of that. And they may be counting on that. But anyway, what I want to do is take this thing apart and see if I can figure out what went wrong. So what I'm going to try first here is just simply kind of flexing. It is plastic. I've tested that. I want to see the circuit board inside and see if I can figure anything out. But the first thing I got to do is get the cap off here. So you do not want to do this with glass because it will shatter and make your life horrible. This I can actually deform a little bit by doing that. So I'm going to try to just brute force open this, and that's not happening. So let's get a screwdriver. And see. Oh, I'm missing the... Where did I put that now? Oh, I know where it is. All right, let's not use the screwdriver. Let's try and find another method. I really do need a better a spudger, so I think I'm going to add that to my Amazon wish list. Oh, this could take forever and stab me pretty badly. There's got to be a way to... I wonder if I can use IPA to dissolve the glue. I've not seen anybody try that. Not that nobody has, but it's not a common way to do it. And I'm just, if it works, hey, that's wonderful. But this may not be glue that is susceptible. Let's see. Yeah, I'm making a mess of the mat, but that's okay. This is a silicone mat. It'll clean up pretty easily. So I'm going to let that sit for a couple of minutes, and I'll be back. Alright, let's see. I went and got the screwdriver. Should be a flathead. Let's see if that gets in there. A little less risky on stabbing myself. Let me just see if it'll twist off. That's glued in there fairly well. I've watched other people do this. You feel it going in a little bit. Ooh, hello. Pop. There we go. Is there anything really obvious here? I mean, I can see. Wow. Okay. There's looks like there's 2 RGB LEDs. There's 4 probably white LEDs for when you click on white. There's various components, but no obvious burn marks. Now I'm going to have to look at this more under a magnifying glass to see if I can find anything. It's also possible that inside here there's probably just a dropper for the voltage to drop it down to whatever voltage is needed here. I'm going to have to look at this a little bit further, but since that worked, maybe we can open up the other one and see if we can find anything out with that. So here it is. This was the 5 watt. I should probably write that down. Although it should be obvious by the one being bigger than the other. But this was a 5 watt. And this is a 15 watt. Something like that. And let's just see if we can do this without the soaking. See if I can get the screwdriver in there. Well, first of all, let's make sure this is actually plastic. I mean, it sounds like plastic to me. I'm pretty sure it is. Now, we don't want the video to become that kind of video. I'm going to try in a couple of different locations, knowing that there's a chance I could stab myself while I'm doing this. Whoop. We got it part way in. Just kind of levering it a bit. That almost sounds like, well, it sounds like glass, but it's deforming like plastic. But maybe if I just rub this around here and then give it a break like I did the other one, maybe that'll help dissolve some of the glue. So I'll try that again, and we'll be back in a moment. Well, it's been a little bit over a moment. I may have to go a little bit longer, but let's just give this another shot. We'll go to the same spot. Try and get the screwdriver in there. Lever it out. That's not working too well. So let's go maybe to the opposite. Well, we'll go around a bit and see. Oh, there we go. Hope I didn't break something. That came off a little faster than I expected. Looking for the glue. There's not a whole lot of glue. That may just be a really good press fit. Alright, so let's see now. Same basic arrangement. Looks like now they've got 3 RGB LEDs. They've got a little microcontroller. They've got an infrared receiver, various other components. Now here's one. Oh wow. Right here I can see what looks like it's supposed to be a resistor that blew clean off. Do I have the remnants of that? What's this? That may be debris from something else. I should have cleaned the mat before I started. But that's interesting. I can now see what looks like some kind of damage there. That, or they never actually put a resistor on there. But it does look like the two ends of the resistor are there, but it blew off. And I can probably figure out by looking at all the others what that was supposed to be. And that might explain it. It just kind of dimmed and then went out, and that was it, if I remember right. So, alright, well that's some information. Looking at this one, I'm looking for a missing resistor, or components that's been blown away. Alright, I think what I'm going to have to do here is some further exploration. There's nothing totally obvious. But what I will do is try and get some pictures of these so that I can get close up to it and try and figure out what's going on. I've also got a magnifying glass which will help me kind of look at things a little bit better. And we'll come back to this in part 2 and see if we can figure out what's going on and what it takes to fix it. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back.